Yeah, I was going to say this salary cap war, I keep hearing about Manfred and Clark.
Okay, so they each held press conferences in Atlanta prior to the All-Star game. And of course, Rob Manfred had already gone public a week ago that a salary cap and a floor to spending and a new in-house TV deal and a new way to do revenue sharing. Those are all the things that Manfred has now mentioned. He must listen to this podcast. That's the first time I've ever heard him use the word floor to spending. I think that solves a lot of baseball's economic problems. However, the next press conference was Tony Clark, and he walked in with a bucket of cold water and threw it all over everything that Rob Manfred said. He says, salary cap is not about growing the pie. The cap is about growing the profits for your owner. He indicated a salary cap limits the kind of guarantees star players are going to get. And he wrapped up his press conference with a cap is institutionalized collusion. Well, at the end of the day, cap and floor to spending, revenue sharing, TV money has made the NFL, the NBA, the NHL rich. Not just the owners, the players. And those guys are getting 50% of the pie. Baseball's players are getting 47% of the pie. Second thing Tony Clark talked about, and in the back of my mind, I always worried about this because of your president and because of ICE and immigration.
Oh, no.
Tony Clark, they sent a memo to every player in organized ball on the major league roster and every guy in the minor leagues. From this day forward, you carry all your legal documents.
Yeah.
I mean, ICE has gone into hospitals, churches, schools, courtrooms. Is ICE going to walk into a clubhouse in El Paso? Is ICE going to do something at the Padres or Dodgers, Arizona League complex with all those rookies? 28% of the players in Major League Baseball were born outside the United States. 41% of all minor league players are not U.S. citizens, were born outside. So Tony Clark says, we've done our legal background. Take your documents with you, regardless of what level that you're playing ball. Meanwhile, conversation about the Olympics is going on. All-Star Game 2028. Both sides, Manfred, Clark, want Major League players in the 2028 All-Star Game and then the 2028 Olympics out of Los Angeles. But they're going to have to configure the schedule. What Manfred said is, we're looking at July 11th that year for an All-Star Game, probably in San Francisco. It makes a lot of sense because then the players could go from there right to LA because the baseball playoffs and the Olympics start on the 15th. The problem is they are talking about a 2-week layoff period leading into the All-Star Game, directly into the Olympics, and then for guys to get rest post-Olympics when that tournament is over. They're talking about a 2-week stoppage in the regular season, which is an extended amount of time off for a preponderance of the players. It would probably help pitching staffs, but that's a long time to have the game in shutdown mode. They say we will play 162 games. We're going to probably cut the 29-game exhibition schedule way back. And that Olympic year, we may start regular season mid-March and probably play in all the Sunbelt cities in mid-March. You can't play at Fenway Park, I don't think, on March 15th. But that's what they're going to try to do. It's got to be negotiated, but they're going to trim spring training games and start there. A couple of other notes. The commissioner announced, this is weird, Tampa Bay Rays, if they make the playoffs as a wild card team, they're going to play at Legends Field, Steinbrenner Stadium in Tampa, despite the fact it seats only 10,000 fans. And a preponderance of playoff tickets are set aside for corporate sponsors, etc. So I don't know how many fans are going to be able to get in there. And the union's not agreeing with this because the union gets a cut of each playoff game gate. And if the 10,000 becomes actually 3,000 purchasing tickets because all the rest is divvied out to corporate sponsors, etc., for Tampa Bay Rays and Major League Baseball. Union's got to sign off on that, so that's a big issue. One other baseball note, he was reinstated this morning. Julio Urias, Dodgers suspended left-handed pitcher, 90-game suspension is over. He, of course, served 2 different suspensions, domestic abuse, only ball player to be sanctioned twice by the commissioner's office. Now the question, his agent is Scott Boras. Now the question, who's going to make a move to sign him? He's been working out in Mexico and in Los Angeles, and the agent has kind of insinuated he's ready to go. Now they needs an opportunity to see if anybody's going to touch him. But you know what? His record is 60-25. Career ERA is 3.11. Has he learned anything from a 90-game suspension, which followed on the heels of the 20-game suspension a couple years ago? Has he learned anything about his responsibility? He's been through counseling and all that. They did an intervention with him. Don't know if this is alcohol related or this is just his psyche about women. But at the end of the day, effective today, he can negotiate and he can sign with somebody. So, John, I threw a lot of stuff there about the cap, Florida spending, Tony Clark's vision of what the cap really means. You want to talk about the Olympics? Are you going to get a ticket to Tampa Bay? And how about the ex-Dodger pitcher?
Oh, man, there's just so much there. But like, let's talk about the labor struggle right now, because Tony Clark says that a salary cap is, means that the pie isn't expanding. And I think there's a lot of mixed metaphors going on here.
He's wrong.
No, well, yeah, because if, let's just say the players get 47%, which is what it is today. Should it be 50 like the other leagues? Yeah, it should probably. But even at 47%, if the pie gets bigger
every year,
then there's more money to go around, with all the teams. So it's not like this notion of a salary cap keeps the pie fixed.
Exactly.
Okay. I think that's important to make sure we understand. But it's interesting how it's so debatable, on whether or not a salary cap is really going to make that big of a difference, because we've seen so many cases in different sports of teams that spend a ton that don't have success. So I think, to me, like, to your point, and yeah, maybe Manfred is listening to this podcast. I mean, after all, the Padres management's been listening. They've been changing their telecast because of you. Ha ha. Yeah, I've lost my train of thought.
The cap number is based on gross revenue.
Yeah.
If gross revenue continues to go up, and it has every year, the cap number goes up, which means there's more money. Then if you have the Florida spending as part of the cap, Florida spending mandates the Pittsburgh Pirates, Tampa Bay, Miami, the Athletics have to spend to a certain level. Say it starts at $120 million the first year. That's the Florida spending. I swear to God, every mid-level free agent will start to listen to offers from the Athletics or the Pirates, because that's where they're going to get their payday. So you get mid-level free agents go to the mid-markets because of the Florida spending. That makes that product better. Please tell me, would they not be going crazy in Pittsburgh if the Pirates were in a wild card race starting in the second half of the season? If the Pirates were good, if they were competitive, if they had to spend to the cap and they had a better pitching staff and a better batting order, don't you think this is good for baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. It's interesting because the way the league works is different than how, like, IBM and Apple Computer and all these other companies compete against each other. I mean, in sports, you want to have a reasonable level of competitiveness. Right. You don't want to have one dominant team with 90% market share and everyone else splitting the rest. You want to make it so it's balanced. And to me, I think teams like the Oakland A's, you don't find that kind of cheapness in other sports because of the floor.
Well, you've got cheapness or bad business decisions made by Cincinnati Bengals, made by Sacramento Kings. I mean, there are bad franchises. But at the end of the day, if you're mandating there must be more money, that means players will go to these other franchises, likely to make them better, and likely, if they're in the pennant race coming out of the All-Star break, it's going to be good for everybody in baseball. The pie will grow bigger.
Yes.
And all you have to do is look on the other street corner. Look at the NFL. Cap, Florida spending, gross revenue. NBA, NHL, ditto. Tony Clark needs to get off the historical stance you're always trying to screw us and form a partnership. And if he can get his guys 50% of a pie that's going to grow every year, I think that's good. What do you do about the Dodger pitcher, Urias?
everyone needs pitching. You think, I mean, but no one ever picked up Trevor Bauer, even though he's been getting lit lately. I've been seeing the highlights of that. My hunch is someone's going to take a chance on him. And that's what I thought with Trevor Bauer. I'm not sure, but
60-25 though with the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's hella good.
Kid left-hander can still pitch. His numbers dipped a little bit because he had injuries off and on for a year and a half before the latest incident. If I'm the Angels, I sign him.
Yeah.
A, he's popular. B, he's good. C, there's a Mexican heritage which would appeal, I think, to the Latino community in Orange County, and they have a big base there. And C, you need arms in the Halo rotation.
Yeah.
And you structure the contract that he doesn't step over the line, get in trouble again, because his career effectively would be over. But 60-25, the only glitch in that whole conversation is, who's he represented by?
Oh, that guy, Scott Boras?
And Artie Moreno and Scott Boras. That's a problem.
That's trouble. Okay.
So we'll see. I think Urias deserves one last chance. Next chance will be his last chance.
I want to comment though on the Olympics, if I could.
Please do.
It's weird. I'm speaking out of two sides of my mouth. From the point of view of the players, a 2-week break would be great. I mean, they could really use that.
Sure.
But I'll tell you what, as a sports fan, I mean, with no baseball on the Wednesday after the All-Star game, I start twitching a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
And so it could go 2 weeks. I mean, that would be tough. I wonder if baseball would feel like, there's a swoon in the following. People would kind of forget about the team to a degree.
Well, that comes on the heels of NFL camps would just be opening. Would the attention be diverted? No, because I think the pennant races are still about to kick back into gear. But it's a real fine line that they're going to have to work, because you got to give the guys who are on the Olympic team, they still need a window to get some rest after Team USA wins the gold medal. You can't get them on a plane, send them back, and say, start playing the second half of the schedule. So this has to be negotiated through the union. So,
yeah, okay.
That's where we are.
All right.
That's all things baseball. You're into baseball. We know baseball. I want you to hit a home run. Get on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. Agree, disagree, any of the hot topics on the table. Just push that button. Fans Forum chat box is open.